Ready, work, so you can play. MiniWarGaming's Reign of Chaos!
The Adeptus Astartes was created as the Emperor's ultimate fighting force. Implanted with the gene seed of the Primarchs, the Space Marines stand 7 feet tall, with thickened bones, 2 hearts, hyper-dense muscles, and all manner of special organs that allow them to survive and fight in the most hostile conditions. They feel little pain and heal at a remarkable rate. Their will hardened by constant training and fighting, and they battle with dedication and zeal, brooking no hesitation, mercy, or cowardice. All of these things combine with the best weaponry and armor in the galaxy to make the Space Marines the most fearsome warriors in the Imperium. The Chaos Space Marines have all of these strengths and skills, to which are added the powers of chaos and a brutal devotion to the Chaos gods. Ever since the Horus Heresy, Space Marines have been tempted by the path of chaos, whether for selfish reasons or great ideals. Sundered from the Imperium, having turned their backs on the Emperor, these warriors know that there can be no peace for them, neither forgiveness nor absolution. They are wholly committed to the path they now tread, for good or ill, and they will give no quarter to their enemies, as they shall receive none. MiniWarGamer Dave here from MiniWarGaming.com. Welcome, Wargamers, to the Reign of Chaos series, Chaos Tactica. In this video, we're going to be talking about Chaos Tactics for Chaos Space Marines. A lot of chaos. I'm going to be taking a lot of the information and commenting on it from the tome that Marit Lage has left on the MiniWarGaming forums. Thank you very much for leaving that tome of awesome sauce. Let's dive right into the pros and cons of bringing these guys. Pros. They are inexpensive. They have lots of options. Their power armor is ridiculous sauce. They are very flexible. And the marks of chaos are not tied to icons, but rather the entire unit. Cons. They're not fearless. Heavy weapons aren't very good on them, and there isn't a standard of close combat weapons. So one might think to themselves, why would I bring Chaos Space Marines when I can just bring Space Marines? You know, like, what's the difference really? Chaos Space Marines, like most units in the Codex, are tactically flexible because at their core they are still Space Marines through and through, and everything you associate to loyalist Space Marines also apply to their traitor brethren. While they don't have, and they shall know no fear, they are 20% cheaper, making it easier to field large numbers of models in power armor. I agree with that, and I would also like to add that there are many options that you can give the Chaos Space Marines, even if you don't like just the core, basic Chaos Space Marines. They don't come with a close combat weapon anymore. You have to spend an extra couple points in order to upgrade them with that, but at least you have the option to do that. That makes them more versatile. You can also give them marks of chaos, and there's a whole bunch of goodness that are associated with all those marks. And icons. So there's a lot of options with these guys. Let's just chalk it up to the fact that they're very versatile. Let's talk about challenges now. Your aspiring champion should be outfitted for close combat most of the time, as he will often end up there during the course of the game. His killing the opposing characters will be very important, as killing enemy power weapons will often tilt the favor of the battle one way or the other. As usual, lightning claws are your best bet, unless you are running with the paraplasma guns, in which case it would be more prudent to take a power sword. Outfitting your aspiring champion for close combat, I agree with. Now as for the warrior options that he takes, that's iffy, because you can take that lightning claw, which is great. You negate most of the armor you're going to be fighting. Sometimes you're going to need a really high strength weapon, so I'm partial to power fists. I don't know why. I've always liked power fists, even though in 6th edition it seems like they just get killed more often than not, but because you can challenge your opponent, it almost guarantees that you get to use it. Now, a lot of the times your opponent is also fighting at Initiative 1 because he also has some sort of power fist equivalent. And if he doesn't, it's all a matter of tactics and which unit you should attack with. Now this is like a last-ditch effort because we're talking about Chaos Space Marines. They're very versatile. You can shoot with them, you can attack with them, but I would suggest outfitting them so that they can do one specific thing per squad. So make a squad that is designed for shooting, and then make a squad that is designed for close combat. Don't try to outfit a single squad to do both, because then he's just okay at everything, not really good at one thing. Does that make chaotic sense? For example, take your Chaos Space Marine squad. Let's say it's a 5-man squad. With a 5-man squad, you have the option to upgrade one of their weapons with a melt-a-gun, a plasma gun, or a flamer. This is really good. This is all in addition to upgrading your aspiring champion as well. And if you choose to take a 10-man squad, whether it's 5-man or 10-man, stick them in a rhino. Do it because you don't want to be foot slogging the whole game. Whether you are a close combat unit or a shooty unit, because you're going to have mid-range shooting most of the time, stick them in a rhino. Get them up there. It's okay if that rhino gets popped. There's a kill point if you're playing Purge the Alien. Even if you're not, then you can park that on top of an objective. Then you are good. You are good sauce. We're talking about a bare bones basic Chaos Space Marine unit on that objective or in the face of the opponent with meltas. Preferably meltas. Okay? That's preferable. When you have a 10-man squad, you can put 2 special weapons on the unit. You can equip them with 2 meltas, which I suggest. I don't suggest upgrading one of the guys with the missile launcher or a las cannon, which you are able to do. But, like I said before, make that unit a specialized unit. If you're going to do that, if you're thinking of doing that, bring Havocs and take 4 las cannons or 4 missile launchers. It's much better points-wise and much better tactics-wise, because you got a missile launcher in there. I mean, you're going to have to be like that one guy in the unit's going to have to be lugging it around, and you're not going to want him to move because you don't want to have to snapshot that because it's kind of useless. You're not going to be using it anyway. You're going to have the whole unit just stay there in one spot in order for him to shoot properly, and that's just the one shot for the entire unit when that unit could be doing something else more effective. Not the best option. Even though the option is there, do not take it. It's a temptation. Do not do it. Let's talk about your upgraded war gear. Starting with the Flamer. Good weapons to take in an all-comers list. Flamers are great at dealing with hordes and models in cover. However, you have to be almost in point-blank range in order to use it, which makes its uses limited. A very agreeable statement. Bring them against hordes. That's what I would suggest. In fact, if you know that you're fighting a lot of models, or if you suspect that you'll be fighting against a lot of models, then take that unit with a couple Flamers, because those couple Flamers can do a lot of damage, especially if they're in a rhino, because you got your 2 fire points, blast. Awesome sauce. You will love it. That barbecue smoky feeling smell coming out of that outside of that rhino is going to really make you happy. It's going to make the nose hairs and the inside get all clogged up with chaotic goodness. Melt-a-gun, an anti-tank weapon from Hades. Melt-a-guns are the go-to weapon for dealing with monstrous creatures and tanks of all kinds. However, with a short range of 12 inches, it suffers from the same problems as flamers do, having to be in the enemy's teeth in order to use it. The range is shorter, yes, only 12 inches, but look at what it does. It takes down tanks and monstrous creatures. Tanks aren't as big of an option now in 6th edition, but monstrous creatures, there seems to be just a plentiful amount of them all over the place, no matter what army. The reason why I like bringing Meltas is that because there's very little that can actually negate its strength in AP. Think about this for a second. It negates all AP of any model. That's like regular armor save, okay? Yes, there's invulnerable save, but the regular armor save, it just takes it out. Strength 8, that's going to pretty much ensure that you're rolling 2s to wound on everything, every infantry model that you shoot at. Unless there's some sort of special rule that negates it, that's pretty much what you're going to be rolling. So, majority of things are toughness 4 or less, so you're instant killing. The things that have Eternal Warrior are special characters, but not all of them do have Eternal Warrior. Some of them are toughness 5 or greater, so you won't be able to insta-kill them, but it just makes it that much easier to wound them with your 2s to wound. Meltas are my favorite. I love bringing Meltas, as you can tell. Now, some might argue, well, you bring a plasma gun, it's 24 inches, it's AP2, so that's going to negate everything too. Strength 7 is still good enough. That is true. There's a lot of truth to that, but it does get hot. So if you want to take the chance of it possibly killing you, you take that chance. Plasma seems to be less effective in my experience. Meltas are a one-trick pony that seem to work more of the time. They get more commissions. They get more jobs. Their agent is a better representative of their talents. Plasma gun. Plasma guns are weapons best taken in pairs if you decide to take them. As they are rapid-fire weapons, it will keep the unit from charging. However, that being said, plasma guns are the go-to weapon if you want your unit to be predominantly shooting. However, since they do not have the Melta special rule, they will not be able to deal with heavier vehicles. So here's the thing, if you are bringing a couple plasma guns and you are rapid firing them, you're going to be at half distance anyway, which is what, your 12-inch range, which is the Melta range anyway? But all this being said, I'm not saying that plasmas are bad. I'm just saying that they're not as good as Meltas. So take them if you want. But if I had the choice, I'd take a Melta. Autocannon. While one of the better heavy weapons due to its price and versatility, they are not suited for Chaos Space Marine units, as they are typically on the move, as their weapons are much more effective in close-range firefights. If you need Strength 7 shooting in a unit of Chaos Space Marines, plasma guns are the way to go. I couldn't agree more with that statement. Well put, well said. Autocannons don't really seem to fit. Not too much. It's like one of those weapons that they added to the arsenal just because it was grandfathered in from an old set of weapons. Heavy bolter. While heavy bolters are great at putting down a withering amount of firepower, they are not very good compared to the other weapons that Chaos Space Marines can take, including the heavy weapons. I rarely field my guys with heavy bolters. It's very rare. In fact, the only time I can think of when I actually bring heavy bolters at all to a battle is when I put them on predators. And I do that because I don't have enough points to put last cannons. That's why I do it. Not because it's a good option, but because it's there and you might as well put them on if you're going to put something on. Missile launcher. Probably the most versatile heavy weapon ever made. Missile launchers are able to take on a wide assortment of targets at long range. However, Chaos Space Marine units are not well suited for close-range firefights. If you need to deal with heavier vehicles, you're probably much better off using a Melta gun. With heavy vehicles, yes, Melta gun is better, but for everything else, missile launchers are the way to go. Havoc squads with missile launchers are the way to go. They are ridiculous. You can kill hordes, you can kill tougher units, it doesn't matter. They can lay down the fire, and they are reliable shots every single time because you have so many of them in your squad. But don't bring them with your regular troops choices, with your Chaos Space Marines. Bring them in a squad of Havocs, and bring many of them. They're cheap. Bring them. Last cannon. Much cheaper than before, last cannons perform the role of long-range anti-tank weaponry. Unfortunately, this role is also fulfilled by Melta guns, and much more suited to the close-range support role of Chaos Space Marines. Another check to this statement, I agree with that. Don't bring last cannons on Chaos Space Marine squads. Bring them with your Havocs or put them on your Predators. Don't bring them with regular Chaos Space Marines. Bring Meltas. That is the #1 choice. Second is plasma guns. Third, flamers. Stick with the weapons that don't make your unit cumbersome, bulky. Let's talk about the amount of models you can bring to a battle. You start at least 5, and you can bring a maximum of 20. At 5, you can bring 1 special weapon, whether it be a flamer, a Melta gun, or a plasma gun. At 10, you can bring 2 special weapons. So you can bring 2 Meltas, 2 flamers, 2 plasma guns. You can also bring the other weapons that we just talked about. You can bring 1 missile launcher, 1 last cannon, 1 auto cannon, 1 heavy bolter. But I suggest going with the 2 lesser. And when I say lesser, I mean lighter guns. The non-heavy guns. Guns that are either flamers, meltas, or plasma guns. Not the other ones mentioned. Not on a squad of Chaos Space Marines. I've said this many times, and I stick to my lesser guns. Go with the ones that will ensure you maximum mobility and killing capability. I like bringing 10-man squads because it unlocks that second special weapon that you can bring. It's a perfect number for bringing them in rhinos because that's your maximum capacity. 5 doesn't seem to be enough, and 20 is way too many. Too bulky. Too many points sunk in a squad where you can only do so much with. I'd rather have 2 squads of 10 than 1 squad of 20. Should you take Chaos Space Marines in transports? The answer is sometimes yes, sometimes no. When you want to get them off the board to shoot stuff, yes. When you want to keep them behind for whatever reason, no. When would you ever want to keep them behind? It's rare. You want to keep Havocs behind. You want to keep Predators and Defilers behind. Don't typically want to keep Chaos Space Marines behind. So more often than not, you're going to want to put them in rhinos. Rhinos are easy to pop, but at least you have that much of a better chance of getting them further up the board sooner rather than later, so that they have less shots shooting at them until the time comes when you can hold that objective, or you can get that first kill point, or you can get more kill points because you're in their face with your units. Bottom line is, Rhino transports are good. Land Raider transports are very good. They're also very expensive. And I say very good because they allow you to assault. But, like, big deal, right? Like, you can assault out of this massive tank. It's overkill, man. If you had the choice between bringing like 7 rhinos in 1 Land Raider, I'd bring the 7 rhinos. Even if it was a kill point game, because that just kind of makes it so you survive longer. You know, your enemy has more targets, and it's just more fun to see all that armor on the table. How do they compare to cultists? Cultists, you can bring in droves, you can bring a lot of them. There's a lot of bodies, a lot of wounds on the table. Chaos Space Marines, they're a little bit more survivable, they're a little better, more reliable at holding objectives. They don't run away as easy. Even though they're not fearless, it's just harder to kill them. So they can carry better weapons. I would say overall, they're probably not as good as cultists. I just have to be honest. They're your regular troops choice. You don't need anything special to make them special. They're good on their own. Sometimes it's fun to put a couple Meltas in a 10-man squad, put them in a rhino, drive them up the board, and just kill stuff when you pop out of the tank. Cultists can't do that. If you put cultists in a rhino, you're just basically wasting the points of a rhino, and you might as well get a second cultist unit. Don't put cultists in a rhino. The reason why I like to field them is because they're the most versatile. You have the most options with them. And for some reason, I've always had this feeling inside me whenever I have fielded them. It's kind of a love-hate thing. I always feel like I could have brought something better with them because of the amount of options that they have. I put the Mark of Khorne on my guys, I always think, well, I could have brought Khorne Berserkers. I put the Mark of Nurgle on them with giving them toughness 5. I think, well, why didn't I just bring Plague Marines? Always have that thought when I field them with a mark. When I field them without a mark, that thought doesn't exist. The thought then becomes, these guys are fun because I can bring nice weapons on them, put them in a rhino, they're great, reliable, you know exactly what to expect out of them. Let's not forget the look of them. The look of the Chaos Space Marines is to die for. Their look is amazing. They look awesome and beautiful. It's what drew me to the army in the first place when I first started Warhammer 40K. And that can never die. I would rate the Chaos Space Marines a 7 out of 10. Vault members, if you wish to see tactics on the marks and icons of Chaos Space Marines, click on the link below. If you're not a Vault member, I invite you to click the link below, sign up for a 7-day free trial, become a Vault member, see what's in the Vault and all the content. It's what makes this place go around and happen, and it provides us the opportunity to make more videos for you guys. It's what runs this place. It's the lifeblood. Be sure to leave your comments or questions below. Tell me what you like to field. Tell me what war gear you like to put in your Chaos Space Marines. If you like to put them in rhinos, do you bring them over cultists? I would like to know your thoughts and opinions. Please leave your comments below. Thank you very much for watching this tactics video on Chaos Space Marines for the Brain of Chaos. Happy wargaming.
MiniWarGaming's Reign of Chaos!